Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody, or welcome, anybody. You guys, it's 10:30 at night. Oh my goodness, I have been at it. I'd like to say all day, but I thought I had things moving pretty good, and you know, not being right on top of it all day long. I have to take responsibility for that. Ooh. Here we go. It's nothing. And we're talking about balance this week. And I have to go grr because I am in editing problems right now and have been all afternoon. Well, not afternoon, all afternoon, because like I said, I thought I was on top of it, editing my videos, right? I had a wonderful I think. Well, maybe I don't even know if it was a wonderful one, but I was working on it all day long. I suspect that might have been at least acceptable. I had it all rendered, and oh my goodness, I was so happy. I says, okay, time to get outside for a few minutes, right? And I went to the grocery store, right? Just made myself a nice dinner, all pleased with myself that we were going to have a premiere tonight, right? My next video from my trip this past September that I went on, and I was so excited about having my editor back up and running. So the plan was to work on the next video, and that's what I was doing, like I said, for most part of the day. But I didn't realize I was going to end up having issues and problems. Just everything was going so smoothly. I was so excited. I was so proud of myself. I was making plans for the premiere tonight. You say, well, what's that got to do with balance? Sounds a little bit unbalanced to me, right? It was kind of an off day today. October 25th. We have snow on the ground. It's snowing in this moment. And it was kind of the atmosphere for the day. It just kind of seemed like that day that you just didn't see going anywheres, and you weren't really interested in it, seeing it going anywheres, right? And maybe because of that attitude, right? That's why I landed in that situation where I didn't get to have my premiere tonight. In fact, I didn't even have a video ready to upload. And on top of that, that feeling of not accomplishing on my days off. We understand this idea of work-life balance, right? And I'd like to say that, for what I'm doing here and showing up fresh like a loaf of bread every day, there's lots of um, uh, what we're going to say detailing in being able to do that. I'm just not hitting that live button and like this. Yes, we're experiencing my day, but also we're experiencing those lessons that I pick up along the way, those things that I'm practicing. I did everything today to find a little bit of balance in the small issues that I was having, or the things that I didn't seem to be getting done, or in that idea that I was going to waste another set of days off, or beat on myself because I'm still not getting that. But I have to, right, take note of that. I have to look at that and wonder, is this just a way to keep me from focusing on other things, because we know there's lots of things in this world that I could have been spending my time um, getting updated on, getting up to date on. There's lots of stuff in this world that, right, that I'm totally missing out on because I'm so focused in what I'm doing. So I have to take note of that. Is there a reason why I'm having these issues and why I'm so focused in this editing and getting on top of this and figuring it out, and neglecting those few things that are going to get me set up for next week, or neglecting what's truly going on in the world, or, right, maybe it's that idea of neglecting what truly is important, which is neither of those things at all. It's something totally totally different. But because I'm so wound up in this, right, that I'm just not seeing it. So it's at that point where I say, okay, you gotta let it go, right? I had a bath and I got my pajamas on, right? I walked to the store, got some fresh air. I enjoyed watching the snow come down. I washed my floors, I washed the dishes, try to do the few of those things, but those things that I really wanted to do, I didn't get any of them done, right? I didn't work on my thumbnails today for my podcast. I let them go all week. And now, right, I'm going to have to spend an hour or so catching up to what I didn't get done, where, every day I should be doing that thumbnail. So it's only a couple minute task. And now I got to put some time away for that. And I meant to do that today. Lots of things that I meant to do today, but I didn't get done. But in those lessons that I take in, I'm trying to practice them, right? Knowing that I'm coming live today and thinking to myself, I thought of it this morning to do my live show before I went into editing, because I thought there was a good possibility that there might be some issues. But then I says, well, you're going to be taking a break for a cup of coffee or go to the store, right? You're going to want to take a break. And and if you have problems, you'll know by then, right? So everything just seemed to be going so smoothly, and finally I'm able to render my video that I worked on all afternoon, all proud of myself that I've got my editor back up and running. And even though, my transitions weren't perfect, I had transitions in there, and my fade ins and my fade outs, and I don't know, I was quite pleased with that. And I got it in at a decent time and allowed me to have an hour to maybe get it uploaded to YouTube, maybe make some dinner, maybe have that bath and relax, because it was going to be a premiere. I could sit in my pajamas and do a premiere because I would just be in the comments with everybody. And I was excited to do a premiere because I've done lots of lives, lots of videos, right? But I never have actually done a premiere. And so I was looking forward to hanging out in the comments with my moderators today in my pajamas, right? And a spectator, and be able to have dialogue in expressing what was going on behind the scenes and behind some of that video, and behind some of those thoughts that I was having when I was making those videos. And I was going to go back to that idea of what I said, that we look at that balance between work and home life, but we don't look at that balance between the good things that come into our lives and the difficult things that come into our lives, right? Those things just usually come in runs, don't they? For me growing up, some of those biggest kicks that I ever got were when I was already on the ground, right? So there is still a balance, but sometimes that balance comes with a season of snow, right? A season of snow and cold and wind, right? Problems and hiccups and heartbreaks and grief. And then even within that, there can be at the same time spans of amazing things going on, right? Where you have the weddings and the new relationships and the job promotions and all going on at the same time. And yes, it can seem confusing, but sometimes we're so wrapped up in the problems, right? We're so wrapped up in the problems that we don't recognize the things that are going well, right? In that idea that things are balanced, right? So there are crappy things. Cindy's not getting the video rendered and stuff, but I got the floors done. It was a day off, right? I wasn't trying to do that at the same time as, right, trying to get my job done, practicing those lessons that I've picked up along the way, right? Understanding that, right, it is a little bit frazzling not being able to get that, but also at the same time, they're understanding that there are parts of me, right, that just want to keep things nice and even, right? Nice and balanced. There's that word again that we're talking about this week. Keeping things balanced without those high extremes, but just somewheres in the middle, right? And then I find that, when I'm having these problems and when these feelings start to get up into me, and it's not a matter of coddling myself, right? It's a matter of taking myself into consideration. Okay, Cindy, right? You've been at this too long. You're feeling it. Go have your bath, right? Or go for a walk or get a few things done that you wanted to get done so that when you get up tomorrow and you get ready for work, you're not going to have these feelings that your whole day's off. You didn't get anything accomplished, right? There are learning lessons, right? But I had those learning lessons last week and the week before, and right, I trudged through. I was a cheerleader, right? Tooting my own horn, congratulating myself. I got through it just to find myself right here again. And not a 180, right? Where you're just on the opposite end, but actual a 360 where you're back at the beginning, right? The whole circle, not just the opposite. And that's what I find to be irritating, right? In my being an example, it's that little bit where I would prefer not to show up in my, hi, Dave. Thank you for showing up here today. But like I said, it's that one part that I would prefer to come in and toot my own horn and congratulate myself and big smiles and high energy, right? But I understand that there's a balance and it can't always be popcorn and rainbows and cotton candy. And it doesn't make it any less balanced when these little hiccups, right, come into our lives. And we should be grateful they're just little hiccups because, right, there are lots of people in this world right now who have the big hiccups, have the big catastrophes, have the big heartbreaks, the big pieces of their heart ripped out of them, right? And so I have to be grateful in those. Maybe it's a balanced way in how all of that is divvied out to me, right? In just enough that I'm not going to go through the roof, right? I'm not going to just say, forget this, I give up. Or, right, oh my goodness, whoever or whatever just doesn't want me to share my outdoor explores. But I do have to look at it, right? What's the lesson in this for me, right? What's the lesson in this? Possibly it's the lesson's not even for me. Maybe that lesson is for the people who are out there watching me struggle in my, what do you call that, mogmire, right? Mogmire? That where you don't get anything done, where, right, you got all that effort, you're putting all that everything, every ounce of energy, and you're just making no headway. I always feel better when I do my lives. That's true. And I don't mean to come in here, right? It has been an afternoon. It has been an afternoon, but I'm optimistic that I'm coming in here with the right good attitude about my afternoon, understanding that, right, my afternoon is not even comparable in any way, right, compared to some of that other, maybe it's unbalance that is going on in the world or in other people's lives, right? So I'm going to have to be grateful for where I am at right now, grateful to have this platform where I can bring myself down, right? Where I can pull myself back to that main branch, take a little bit of a break from what I'm doing. It might be off the break for the whole night. I just like, oh. Oh, it was a disappointment. It was a disappointment, right? But I cannot be immune to that. And at the same time, I have to take note. There's got to be a lesson in that, right? There's solutions because I have found them along the way, and I suspect that I will. The only thing, right, that's frustrating for me is I spent all afternoon working on that video. It's ready to go. It's ready. And I just almost a couple of times just deleted everything, right? All ready to reboot my computer and, right, delete, move files again. Believe me, I've deleted and moved a few files, but hopefully not so much that it's not recoverable, right? I gotta have a good laugh at myself. But I'm trying, and that's the thing. A lot of people out there, they're not even trying, not even trying. And if you talk about balance or unbalanced, right? Right? Maybe I'm not the super balanced, but I'm certainly not the most unbalanced either. I'm somewheres, somewheres in the middle. And if I keep at it, right? And if I keep my good attitude and I keep taking those little moments for myself when I feel that, oh man, this just isn't working, right? And instead of, I wouldn't do it, but it just as an analogy of the feeling, taking my laptop and throwing it up against the wall, right? I'm going to take a bath, right? I'm going to make something nice for dinner, right? I'm going to get some of those other projects done. I'm going to do my thumbnails. I'll feel good about at least getting my thumbnails done because that was something that I wanted to do today, right? And when that idea came to me this morning before I did my editing, that says, well, maybe you should do your live, right? Because that positive energy, you're excited to go do your editing and everything, right? You could bring that to your live show. What happens if your video editing doesn't go well? You're going to take that editing, or you're going to take that energy to your live show tonight, right? I was like, oh, everything's going to just be fine. Everything's fine. So it's my responsibility, right, to show up with that energy, right? Show up with that energy too, because I show up here fresh like a loaf of bread, sharing what I've learned in the process, right? Understanding that, it doesn't always work out for me, but maybe, right? Somebody's going to learn a lesson in my failure, right? Maybe just in understanding and saying that, right? Cindy has no problem, right? She kind of failed in her day. She kind of let herself down, right? She's not covering it up, right? She's not making it so like, like her day was perfect and I was on top of it and everybody else is slacking, right? I slacked today too. Like I said, I could have figured this problem that it was actually a problem out sooner before and then maybe had a little bit extra time to resolve it, right? Maybe didn't have to go for a walk and soak in the bathtub for a half an hour. Right? Pinching between her eyes and right. But it is what it is. I'm not going to beat myself up. This is all of this is a learning process. And we talk about balance, right? We were talking a little bit about yesterday about that teetering, right? And sometimes it's that teetering in that uncomfortableness, in those problems that we have, in keeping it together, in showing up with a smile anyway, right? Tomorrow's another day, right? Sometimes that's the run of the balance that kind of balance out that little run of whatever we're struggling with in the moment or whatever's trying to keep us down or right. I have no idea what happened today. I thought I was on it. I thought I was a smarty pants, right? And here I am. Quarter after 11? Is that quarter after 11? Oh my goodness. Quarter after, oh no, quarter to 11. Quarter to 11 doing my live show. Very surprised that you guys are up tonight, you guys, right? We know who the night owls are. But at the same time, right? Wishing you a good sleepy tonight, right? Maybe just showing up here might be just the trick for somebody. Might be just the trick for me too, right? Because I would have stayed at this for a couple of more hours, and I think maybe I'll just take a peek at a file and try one or two more things, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'm ready to start all over tomorrow, right? Well, tomorrow's a work day, but we'll find some time in between that, and I'll be sure before I tackle that challenge to show up in my life with positive energy. I'm right. I showed up here. It's not a big deal, right? It's part of the process. And maybe somebody out there, right, is having a good giggle over Cindy's struggle, right? And having a good giggle would be something amazing for somebody who might be sitting in a little bit of a moment that might seem a little bit unbalanced, right? Just like I went and had a bath, right? Made myself a nice meal, right? Did a few things to make it so I didn't feel like I was wasting my days off, right? Commit to getting a few things done that will compound that feeling that I was getting ahead, and then just trust that if I don't get ahead, if I don't get ahead, there's a good reason for that, right? And I'm not going to compulse about that because it'll come across my path, guaranteed, if it needs my attention. Okay, you guys. I know, I like the cotton candy too. Yeah, I love the cotton candy too. The flavor, the smell. My dad used to take us to the exhibition once a year, and just the smell of the cotton candy, right? Oh my goodness. Yeah. My right shoulder, this day? No, no. It's just something I picked up. I used to be, well, I still am, but I used to be fanatical about Egypt. And there was a time when all my decor was Egypt. And this is just something remnant of a decor that I had. It will eventually be exchanged for something else. Periodically, I do. I'm already contemplating on a new look behind me. I do love history. You can see, oh, you can't see that. I got a Trojan horse, and I have my, I don't know, my Egyptian pharaohs. I have Napoleon. I love this one. I would be absolutely heartbroken if I broke him. I was having a day, I tell you. My headphones, my good headphones that I use, I slammed it in the drawer and I spliced my wires on the headset. So, but it is what it is, right? It is what it is. And the day's coming to an end. Oh, aren't you? Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, the Trojan horse. You know the story of Helena of Troy, right? And the two brothers and the wars and the all the warriors hiding in the wooden horse that was given as a gift and rolled into the city of Troy in the middle of the night. Belly broke open and they all jumped in, and yeah. That's not really how all the story goes. It's just a right. I just kind of give you a gist of it. But you guys, have a great night. I am calling it a night in that balance of myself. It's not a balance of work and life. It's just, these little runs that we have in our lives. And we got to remember, right? It's not always cotton candy and right and Lucky Charms and rainbows and pots of gold. It isn't always that. And as much as we love those runs of the goodies, right? There's always um another part of that balance, right? There's another part of that balance, and we have to look at it, right? In those difficulties, because that's where the movement lies, right? It's in that struggle that we get to find that easy, right? Because it's only unknown until it's known, right? So I'll get this editor figured out. I will. And then it's going to be known, and then it's not going to be a problem, right? Doesn't mean I'm going to not have problems. Just means that's not going to be a problem. It'll just be a new problem, right? Okay, you guys, have a good night. See you tomorrow.